This meeting of the Rolling Meadows City Council is hereby called to order. Would everyone please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The clerk will please call the roll.
Cannon.
Here.
Prina.
Here.
Majikis. Here. Judd.
Here.
Bianger.
Here.
Diastis.
Present.
Veenbos.
Here.
7 present and none absent. There is a quorum present this evening. Therefore, members of the audience are reminded that these proceedings are being videotaped for current and future broadcast over the city's cable television channel. The first item on the agenda this evening is a motion to approve the minutes of the last council meeting. That's May 12th of 2015. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Mr. Banger has made the motion and it has been seconded. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Then seeing none, the question is, shall the minutes be approved? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it and the minutes are approved. The next item on the agenda is a motion to deviate from the usual agenda procedure to hold a public hearing, as we often do. This one is a one-off public hearing for the Gulf Road Conservation Area Redevelopment Project area. A couple of areas there. So, is there a motion to deviate for the purpose of conducting a public hearing?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Diastis has made the motion, and it has been seconded. The question is, shall the council deviate for that specific purpose? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, and the council will now deviate from its agenda to hold a public hearing. The City Council is scheduled to hold a public hearing on the Gulf Road Conservation Area Redevelopment Project area. Let the record show that the public hearing opened at 7:32 p.m. on May 26th, 2015. I realize now that I forgot to grab the sheet. So, Mr. Eckert, is that the last name, sir?
Elrod?
I'm sorry, sir. I'm trying to remember offhand. I know you were the first signatory on the sign-in sheet, so while they clean up my mistake for me, you're welcome to come to the microphone, sir. You're the first person on the list.
Mayor, good evening. My name is Stephen Elrod, and I'm here on behalf of RTC. But before we proceed with our comments. We are here hopefully to learn something about the TIF and then make comment. Will there be a presentation at all tonight?
Well,
if not, we'll
correct. Meaning for the public hearing, it's when we do these things for the community development block grants and so forth and so on, information that's been presented has already been presented, and so we simply take comments from the public. You will have further opportunities at further council meetings as this moves through the process. But no, sir, there is not a presentation of information that's necessarily scheduled.
Mayor, that's fine. We can proceed with comment. I should tell you in advance, we've contacted the city, we've reviewed your website, we've reviewed all the information about the proposed TIF, and your attorneys have been outstanding. They have, particularly Brian, has provided us with a lot of information pursuant to our request for information, and so we know as much as we could. There's still information that we're seeking, and as soon as that comes forward, if there's more information that we need or we'd want to present to you, we're glad that there will be other opportunities.
Certainly, and as far as information goes, we're always simply an email away or a phone call away as well. We'll be happy to help as much as we can.
Good. Your staff has been terrific. So,
well, if I might make a quick suggestion, I suppose it would be possible to ask Mr. Robert Richlicki if you plan to make any comments this evening. If you would, we could certainly invite Mr. Elrod back up afterwards if that's something he would wish.
Thanks, Bob. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to point out Bob Richlicki, City's TIF consultant. We just wanted to add for the record, as it related to the requirements of the TIF Act, the notices that the city's complied with, all requirements of the TIF Act regarding this public hearing. Notices were sent out to the State of Illinois, Department of Commerce and Community or Economic Opportunity, as well as all the taxing districts on March 16th. Notices also were sent out to all residential addresses within 750 feet. That also occurred on March 16th. The Joint Review Board, which consisted of taxing districts of record, as set forth in the TIF Act, met on April 8th, and they had a unanimous approval to the city in terms of recommendation to move forward with the TIF district. You also, with staff, we coordinated the publication of 2 notices in the Daily Herald on April 28th and May 15th, and notices to the taxpayers of record within the TIF district and any interested parties went out on May 4th, also of 2015. Just want to point out again, in terms of this, as you indicated, Mayor, the plan and the supporting information has been available from the city since early March. The City Council has reviewed it. We just want to point out from the standpoint of the qualification, this area is a conservation area set forth in Illinois law. 3 factors have to be present. There were more than 3 factors that were present. We identified also as part of the Joint Review Board proceedings a summary of the TIF plan, which was an overview of the plan. And again, to the extent there's any questions tonight, we'd be glad to try to answer those.
Then might I ask, Mr. Elrod, would you care to come back to the microphone? You're certainly entitled to if you wish, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes. My client and I do have remarks for the City Council this evening. Again, my name is Stephen Elrod. I'm an attorney at the law firm of Holland & Knight, and I'm here on behalf of Richard Nathan, the CEO of RTC, which is located for more than 2 decades at 2800 Gulf Road. RTC's property is contiguous to the proposed TIF district, and because its property is part of the original planned development known as the Gould Center, originally known as the Gould Center, RTC actually has an interest in portions of the property that has been included within the TIF district. You don't have a map up, but I'm going to assume, Mayor, that you and the council are familiar with the boundaries.
Correct.
The Gould Center is located on Gulf Road, but the TIF district sort of carves out certain properties and includes others. My client's property is among those that has been carved out. We're here to learn more about the proposed TIF. We've learned a little, as I indicated, through your attorneys, and we'll get, apparently, more information is coming our way this week. We look forward to reviewing that. Our concern, which will be better articulated by my client, is the way in which the TIF boundary has been drawn. It cuts through that original plan development, includes some property, excludes others, and we're concerned about the impact that the TIF is going to have on the remainder property. A property that, as my client will indicate, was developed all at the same time in a, if you're familiar with it, and as I'm sure you all are, very unified appearance. Through the proposed TIF, and with the public funds that will be received from the proposed TIF, one of the properties will be enhanced, different and separate and apart from the others. We don't necessarily oppose the TIF. We're simply looking for a better understanding from you all as to the city's position in creating the boundaries. We're concerned about the way that the boundaries were created and frankly don't understand why they were drawn in the way they were drawn, why they don't include the property that was originally part of the plan development, and we're concerned if the plan is going to be pursued, whether it can be pursued without the consent of the remainder of the plan development. I'm talking from a zoning perspective, not from a TIF perspective. With your attorneys and with Bob Richlicki on board, I know that all the notices and all the legal requirements were satisfied. I have no concern from that perspective. My concern is just why it was planned this way. And now, Mayor, with your approval, I'd like to ask my client, Richard Nathan, to come forward for remarks.
Certainly, Mr. Nathan, you are certainly welcome to the microphone, sir. The microphone is yours.
Thank you very much. My name is Richard Nathan, and I'm pleased to be here tonight. I'm here to provide comments on the new TIF district being formed in the Meadows Corporate Center. I appreciate the opportunity, Mayor and Alderman and the city staff, to be here tonight. I'm the CEO and principal shareholder of RTC, We are a 65-year-old company in the shopper marketing industry. We do stuff inside of stores. We've proudly called Rolling Meadows our home for the last 21 years. We have regional offices in the United Kingdom, Latin America, and China, but Rolling Meadows is our corporate headquarters. I remember when we first walked into our building in 1994 at 2800 Gulf Road, with the real estate people assisting us with our search for a new headquarters. I knew at that moment that it was the makings of a wonderful home base for our business and people. At the time, I had not appreciated the convenience of the Rolling Meadows location. We have always employed associates from all reaches of the metropolitan area. Our people love the proximity to the expanse of Bussey Woods and the virtually unlimited shopping and restaurants, even if some of them are in neighboring communities. If I sound like I'm promoting the strengths of this community, it is because Rolling Meadows is a terrific community. It's one of the longest tenured businesses in the Meadows corporate center plan development. We have seen the highs and lows of our modest complex, although far too many have been on the low side. The complex has been sparsely populated over most of our 2+ decades, so we were very pleased to learn of the impending arrival of Arthur Gallagher and the hopeful signs of increase in leasing activity in the East Tower following the building's acquisition by the John Buck Company. Weber Grill's leasing of our Mirror building is equally terrific. While we have not insubstantial concerns that there will be parking issues and Gulf Road ingress and egress issues, having a more robust building complex will help our community to be the vibrant one it was when we first acquired our building. As pleased as I was to learn that Gallagher would be joining us in the Meadows Corporate Center, we are uncertain how to think about the creation of the TIF district for only a portion of the office complex. The 4 primary buildings and surrounding properties in the complex were all constructed in the 1970s, and all have similar, if not identical, needs for repair and renovation. It is unclear why the TIF district was narrowly structured, and it is that question that we are here to address tonight. The TIF district would be as important for the rest of our complex as it is for Gallagher. The 40-year-old buildings and surrounding land will benefit from the investment that a TIF would motivate. I can clearly state that RTC cannot afford such an investment on its own. We are a fraction of Gallagher's size and have far fewer resources, but project that we will continue to grow our team in Rolling Meadows and be the kind of taxpayer that the community wants to have here. I have spoken to one of the other property owners who shares in our interest to see the TIF become inclusive of the entire building complex and land area. I have a degree of reservation about taking this position. On the one hand, I'm reluctant to disrupt a well-worn path to secure the formation of the TIF, with so much time and investment to date by all of you and the team at Gallagher. On the other hand, I must state my surprise that there wasn't a more deliberate attempt to create a Meadows Corporate Center dialogue about the formation of the TIF, not to mention the zoning changes that are likely to be requested. We learned about it quite by accident, notwithstanding the fact that there were notices sent out, which unfortunately we did not receive, or maybe they were routed incorrectly within our building. I discussed this with Jerry Crawford of Janet King, the owner of what is now called the Weber Grill building, and he wasn't aware of it either. We appreciate that legal notices were apparently sent out, as I said, but a project of this magnitude warranted a fuller discussion amongst the impacted parties in the city. The Meadows Corporate Center is a highly intertwined planned development with shared roadways, public utilities, and a legal condominium structure to share in many services. It was conceived and built as a unified development and has always presented that appearance on the outside. Certainly, as construction work gets underway, there will be shared pain that will long precede the benefits that the TIF will create. As for RTC's specific development opportunities, we've been exploring how to improve our property for quite a few years. As I indicated, our building suffers from most of the same problems as the 2850 building. Unfortunately, we've not been able to afford more than the basics. We are operating with the same basic building structure that existed when we bought the building from Gould and did our initial building redevelopment. We've had to bear environmental cleanup expenses in order to get a portion of our building up to code to enable our own growth plans. As I said, while we are a much smaller company than Gallagher, we've added substantially to our team over the 21 years, increasing our local headcount by about 60% to 240 today. We aspire to add more people, and we'll do so as we can figure out how to increase our parking footprint, a project being researched for us today by an engineering firm, and possibly even our building footprint. As to the latter, We studied an expansion of our building 4 years ago, but shelved the project for affordability issues. I have a presentation deck of our study here from 2011, which I would be glad to share with any of you or our city staff. I want to close my remarks by repeating how intrigued we were to learn of the TIF. I want to ask that consideration be given to broadening its structure. We welcome the Gallagher team and look forward to recomprising the community group that we were active in leading. Our interests are aligned with the community's goal to make Rolling Meadows stronger and more vibrant, and hope that the Committee of the Whole will strongly consider an expansion of the TIF district to include the entire Meadows Corporate Center. I welcome any questions from the City Council now or after tonight's meeting. I hope that I will have the opportunity to present our thoughts further and in greater detail with the city staff.
Yes, sir,
Thank you very
indeed. I
much.
can assure you that you will. I always say to people, thank you for taking the time to express your comments, but in this particular case, I think with so many people in the same room, I think being aware of the concerns can create some dialogue that I guess may not have been happening so far. And I also don't want to let you leave the microphone without making the recognition that we make every year with the Chamber of Commerce lunch that RTC, we are very proud to call one of our top 10 employers as well. So, you know, to steal a line from you yourself, sir, if it sounds like I'm touting RTC a little bit, well, yeah, I kind of am. So,
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you.
thank you for taking
We're
the time,
delighted
sir.
to be here in Rolling Meadows. Thank you, Evel.
Those are the only persons who have signed in on the sign-in sheet for the hearing this evening. Are there any other members of the public who would wish to make comments concerning the proposed TIF district? Then seeing none, the chair would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Really,
Mr. Krumstock.
really quickly, just for the documentation, obviously, one footnote would be, up to this point in time, the clerk's office and the manager's office have not received any written notifications on one way or another on this TIF. The only discussions that have happened so far are the JRB and actually at the Committee of the Whole meetings. So for the documentation purposes, we do put that into the minutes.
Thank you for that clarification. Again, the chair would ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Diastis has made the motion and it has been seconded. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, and let the record reflect that this public hearing was closed at 7:48 PM on today's date.
May
Oh,
26th.
Thank you, May 26, 2015. Goodness gracious. All right. Then, with that concluding the public hearing portion, all these extraneous papers now. The next item on the agenda would be the reports. Under the mayor's report, I simply have one item because I was given the opportunity to take a look at one of the newer things that we have going in the city. And with the small trickle that we tend to receive on a fairly consistent basis of folks who are not happy with a red light violation that they received through our system, it's been a little while now since we started our school bus program through the red light camera program as well. And I had a chance to take a look at some of the first violations, and I found that to be quite comforting. Kind of like when we originally did the red light tickets, to be able to look at the level of scrutiny that our own police officers give these violations. Every once in a while, one of the letters of somebody who's unhappy makes reference to, you know, this machine gave me a ticket and no cop would have ever ticketed me for that offense. I gently remind people that a Rolling Meadows police officer, nobody from red light, no machine, a Rolling Meadows police officer reviews every single one of the violations and decides if I were out in a car, would I give this person a ticket or not. When I saw the ones for the school buses, I was very pleased, quite frankly, to see that as we watched a few of them, we know this is new to people. We know that there is a little bit of uncertainty, and we know that sometimes that stop sign can pop out, and if you weren't paying really close attention, you might not catch it before you're right up on the bus. And in a couple cases where you probably could have issued the ticket for the person, the police chose not to and said, no, this violation is not that car. And then after a count of about 1, 2, 3, here comes another person right through. and that's the person who gets issued the ticket. That's as it should be. I am confident from what I saw from the beginnings of this process that as people often accuse us of, nobody's using technicalities to give somebody a ticket. Something like school bus safety is even more important to all of us than rolling through a stop, I guess I should say. And so the fact that our officers are looking out there to make sure that this is not something that catches people for a quick split-second decision that maybe they made the wrong way, the violations are being given to people who clearly ignore the stop sign, and I believe that's their intended purpose. That's the only item under the mayor's report this evening. Are there ward reports? Then, seeing none, the meeting is open again. Well, technically, I guess it's not, because there are no more sign-ins on the sheet.
Right.
Therefore, the council can proceed straight to its business, which has 2 items in for second reading. The first item in for second reading is item A. This ordinance, if adopted, would allow the sale of a strip of city right-of-way on California Avenue. The city has no immediate use of the 33-foot by 200-foot strip of land, and the developer of the adjacent property has proposed to buy it for $2.27 per square foot, for a total of $15,000. Is there a motion to move this ordinance is there a motion to approve this ordinance? Mr. Banjer has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is, shall the ordinance be adopted? The clerk will please call the roll.
Prina?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
Judd?
Yes.
Biancher?
Yes.
Diestis?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
7 in favor and none opposed. This ordinance is hereby declared passed. The second item in for second reading is item B. This ordinance, if adopted, would change the current salary for the position of logistics coordinator. The current starting salary is $35,750, and this ordinance would change that amount to $45,000. However, it also contains a clause that authorizes the city manager to offer a lower starting salary based on a candidate's qualifications. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance? Mr. Prana has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is, shall the ordinance be adopted? The clerk will please call the roll.
Majikis?
Yes.
Judd?
No.
Biancher?
Yes.
Diestis?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
No.
Prina?
Yes.
With 5 in favor and 2 opposed, this ordinance is hereby declared passed. There are no ordinances that are in for first reading this evening. Therefore, that brings the council to item C, which is the warrant for this meeting, the document that releases all of the funds released by the city from May 6th through May 19th. The amount for approval is nearly $1.4 million, roughly half of which is related to the payroll. Is there a motion to adopt the warrant as prepared by the Finance Department? Mr. Banjer has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is, shall the warrant be approved? The clerk will please call the roll.
Judd?
Yes.
Biancher?
Yes.
Diestis?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Prina?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
7 in favor and none opposed. The warrant is approved. That brings the council to the resolutions for this evening. There are 3 items on the consent agenda for resolution. They are items D, E, and F. Would any alderman like any of those items removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, it would be in order for a motion to approve all 3 resolutions in one vote. Is there such a motion?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Diastis has made the motion, and it has been seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying, I asked for unanimous consent, and the motion's been made. Therefore, is there any objection to voting on all 3 resolutions at once? Hearing no objection, then the question is, shall all 3 resolutions be approved? The clerk will please call, the clerk will please call the roll.
Biancher?
Yes.
Diestis?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Prina?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
Judd?
Yes.
With 7 in favor and none opposed, all 3 of the resolutions on the consent agenda are approved. That brings the council to item G. This resolution, if adopted, would amend the 2015 budget for the transfer of $315,361 from the general fund to the local road fund for the purpose of funding the fiscal year 2015 annual street program. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Diaz has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is, shall the resolution be adopted? The clerk will please call the roll.
Diestis?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Prina?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
Judd?
No.
Biancher?
Yes.
With 6 in favor and 1 opposed, this resolution is adopted. The final item then for the council to consider is item H. This resolution, if adopted, would award a contract to Aero Construction for the street program that item G referenced. Is there a motion to approve this resolution? Mr. Veenbos has made the motion and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is, shall the resolution be adopted? The clerk will please call the roll.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Prina?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
Judd?
Yes.
Biancher?
Yes.
Diestis?
Yes.
With 7 in favor and none opposed, the resolution is adopted. There are no appointments nor proclamations this evening. Does the city clerk have a report?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Then under city staff reports, we go to community items of interest. Mr. Krumstock.
I'll slow it down because I know the Hawks are not playing tonight. Obviously, the first thing that we want to mention was the first cruise night was actually last Friday, but cruise nights are back in Meadows Christian Fellowship located at 2401 Kirchhoff Road. The cruisers will be around from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Fridays until Friday, September 4th. For additional information, please visit the website that we have actually linked to our stuff. Obviously, if you missed Saturday, May 23rd, first Farmers and Food Truck event, the next one is scheduled for Saturday, June 27th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in City Hall parking lot. Additional dates for 2015 consist of the July 25th, August 22nd, and September 26th. But new for 2015, we have the Friday event, which is June 19th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Community Church parking lot at 2720 Kirchhoff Road. On Thursday, May 28th, the Chamber of Commerce will be celebrating its Circle of Success recognition dinner. If you would still like to attend, please contact the Chamber at 847-398-3730. This Saturday, May 30th, the Historical Museum, located at 3100 Central Road, will be conducting a garage sale starting at 9 a.m. And then also on this Saturday, May 30th, the Rolling Meadows Park District and the 60th Anniversary Committee will be conducting an ice cream social at the Community Center at 3701 Pheasant Drive from noon to 1 p.m. Saturday, May 30th also is the first day that the Plum Grove Pool, the Aquatic Center at 4001 Park Drive, is supposed to open for the season. That's supposed to be 1 p.m. Check the Park District for their opening hours and their regular hours during the season. Hopefully it won't be a rainy day. Vehicle sticker applications will be in the mail soon. Reminder that the 2015-2016 vehicle stickers must be displayed by June 30th. And then obviously Sunday, June 7th, the annual Special Olympic Law Enforcement Torch Run will be conducted on Gulf Road in the morning. For further information, please contact Chief Scalen. It's a nice event. Goes quickly if you don't mind running on Gulf Road, which is nice and new, not with all the potholes that we used to have. And then on Friday, June 12th, is the last official day of school for the 2014-2015 school year. Please drive carefully. June 12th and 13th, that's a Friday and Saturday, the American Cancer Society will be conducting its annual Relay for Life for Palatine Rolling Meadows in Inverness at Plum Grove Junior High School. This will be the second year in a row that they're doing it, and it begins on 6 p.m. on June 12th and continues until 6 a.m. on June 13th. Then on Monday, June 13th, the police department will be participating in a program called Coffee with a Cop. It's actually a national program, and we're doing it for the first time. And we're actually doing this Coffee with a Cop at Starbucks, the one that's located at 1414 Gulf Road. We have two opportunities for people to talk to an officer, the chief, or anybody else. And those two times that we actually have are 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. Then we also have, on Monday, June 15th, we have the annual flag retirement ceremony that's conducted by the Boy Scout Troop 168. This will happen at 7 p.m. at Kimball Hill Fire Bowl Pit, where the Park District actually did that. Anyone can bring a flag to their retirement, or they can drop it off here at City Hall, and we'll make sure that it gets over to the event. And again, that is Monday, June 15th, and again, 7 p.m. Then on Friday, June 19th, what we mentioned before with the Farmers and Food Market, we actually have a block party on Kirchhoff Road. And the cruise nights will be happening on one side of the road of Kirchhoff Road, and the other side will be the Farmers and Food Market. This event will run from 4 to 8 p.m., and the block party will shut off part of Kirchhoff Road from Meadows to Oriole. The other part of that is at night at Meadows Fellowship. They will actually be showing a night movie. That will be the first one for that event, too. So again, that's Friday, June 19th. The next city-sponsored blood drive will be conducted on Thursday, June 25th, and that's from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. here at City Hall. And then the final one that we do want to mention, and we'll keep on mentioning, it's about a month away, but Friday, June 26th, the 60th Anniversary Committee will be sponsoring an event called Wind Down by the Creek. There will be beer, wine, and food for purchase, and you can listen to 2 bands, and I apologize, I forgot the name of the bands, Denny Diamond, and there you go. And it goes from 6 p.m. to about 11 p.m. Obviously, we say 11 o'clock, but that's really for cleanup and some other points in time. But it's a new event that we're actually doing. We do have a limited number of commemorative glasses, and we hope people do participate. And again, that will be on Friday, June 26th. The final item, because it's the last meeting of the month, for June committee meetings, we have an Economic Development Committee meeting coming up on Tuesday, June 2nd at 6 p.m. Tentative items to discuss and deal with Economic Development Consultant Mike Millen will be here, 2850 Golf Road Project, Lexington Homes, business updates, and other items of interest for the city. On that same night, on Tuesday, June 2nd at 7:30 here in the council chambers, the Plan Commission will be meeting, and there are 3 tentative items for public hearing, and they consist of 1, a 4-lot single-family residential subdivision of property located at 4500 to 4520 Fairfax Avenue, Palatine. The petitioner and owner is Uma Budaka, and the second item is a special use permit for the personal fitness facility in the M1 district at 2255 Lois Drive. The petitioner is Ivan Rodriguez. And the third item to be discussed that night is a text amendment for outdoor used car lots and special use in the C2 commercial and M1 manufacturing district and associated regulations. That's city-sponsored, and that's actually the discussion that we had back at a committee of the whole with some additional discussion. And again, zoning board will be canceled. They did not have enough or any petitions at this point in time. With that, that's items of interest.
Then the next item under staff reports would be the new business list for April. Mr. Krumstock?
There's only 4 of them, but none that I would really highlight per se like I usually do.
Then we move next to the staff traffic advisory report. Mr. Vogt?
Thank you, Mayor. The Traffic Advisory Committee met May 6th. Just to highlight a few things for the council, we completed the review of the Rolling Meadows High School proposed bus lane out the back of the facility to Oak Avenue. We expect that project will start very soon now that school is close to being out. Speaking of schools, we did complete the Central Road corridor re-signing for the school zones, as well as the Kimball Hill School area, primarily Meadow and adjoining streets. Next, for review currently by the city engineer and the police department is the plans for signage upgrades at Carl Sandburg school areas. And as the summer and fall progress, we will continue to develop plans for each of those remaining schools with the intent of completing them all this year for signage upgrades. Another item, new Wilkie Bike Path Corridor, our section from Gulf to Algonquin and the Arlington Heights section north of Algonquin. We've had some dialogue with the Village of Arlington Heights. Our city engineer has provided some input to the Traffic Review Committee with regards to improvements there to improve signage. There still are some spots that the sidewalk needs to be used as the bike path in one way rather than having an 8-foot wide sidewalk. It's only 5 feet wide, so I'm sure there'll be more discussion with Arlington Heights on that and developing a safe signage route for that whole corridor. Lastly, we just briefly touched on the June 19th proposal to close Kirchhoff Road and the detour routing and signage that'll be necessary, and I'm sure we will take that up and finalize plans for that with the committee and with the police department at our next meeting, which is June 3rd. So that is our report.
Then the next item under staff reports is the first quarter financials. Ms. Gallagher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before you are the first quarter financial statements ending March 31st, 2015. And as always, these are presented on a cash basis, or as we like to call it, modified accrual accounting, meaning that some of the revenues received and expenditures incurred are attributed to 2014. So with that, as a reminder, the 2014 audit will be released in June and discussed at the June 16th Committee of the Whole meeting. Our city auditors, Lauterbach and Amon, will be out to present that audit information, and we'll provide copies of the audit at that time. So with that, we present the information for the first quarter. We pretty much highlight the general fund, utilities fund, and refuse fund as the major operating funds of the city, and provide some other information. For the first quarter for the general fund, revenues came in at $10.4 million, expenditures came in at $8.1 million, and revenues exceeded expenditures by $2.3 million. Revenues are trending for the first quarter 12% better than budget, and expenditures about 3% greater than budget. And that really is attributed to the first quarter installment of our property taxes that we receive. We received about 51%. Typically, it's about 55%. And that really attributes the reason why we're a little bit greater in expenditures and the counterpart to expenditures as well, because we record an expense for our police and fire pension fund and our non-union fund pension funds. So that is the reason for some of the highlights there. In addition to that, we did include this in the packet. We do have a list of the interfund transfers that are done for 2015. Those are the transfers in and transfers out per the budget. Of note, the debt service fund receives a transfer from the general fund, $637,000 for the debt service payment for 2015. In addition, we have noted on this interfund transfer sheet that we also have $100,000 transfer from the health insurance fund to commit for compensated absences, bringing our total committed funds balance to $521,000 per the budget for 2015. And then we have the other ones listed as well. Those transfers are done typically in the first quarter, so that's the reason why some funds might have a little bit higher in revenues or expenditures. Turning to the general fund revenues itself, and in the packet, of course, we do include charts to show you some of the major trends in revenues year over year for the last 8 years. I think it's important to note that over the last 8 years, while we've made lots of great strides over the last 8 years, we're not to where we were from 2008. So we're at or below when you look at the major revenues, and that shows in the charts there. Just to give you a couple highlights on the general fund revenue side, some of the one-time revenues, and we've mentioned this prior to this year as well. Building permits are coming in about 10% better than budget. Red light enforcement fines as well, coming in a little bit higher than budget in terms of when you look at it's 46% better than budget. Part of that is some of the accrual, but then also part of it is some of the higher resolution cameras that were experienced in 2014 that continue in 2015. Overall, revenues are on track with the budget, and that is on the revenue side. We did mention, of course, the property tax side. Revenues came in about 51% for the tax levy. On the expenditure side, a couple notes to that general fund income statement is that we have a few vacancies that are going to be filled in 2015. That's why you see some departments are a little bit lower on the expenditure side. We also have the public safety pension funds that were a little bit higher, so that would, of course, make their expenditures higher in their departments. We do note that in the overall statement here, and we did the interfund transfers as well. On the all funds income statement, which shows all of the revenues and expenditures for the entire city for the first quarter, we do show, just a note here, the utilities fund came in at $2.4 million. I think the memo said, I put year-to-date, but it was actually $2.4 million, which is on target at this point in time. Revenues came in about 1.9, or expenditures came in 1.9 for the utilities fund, and that is about 14% of budget. Keep in mind that we usually do all our debt service payments and our capital expenditures towards the end of the year, and that's the reasons why that would be about 10% lower than budget. We are working with Baxter and Woodman on a utility rate study that our hope is to present that at the July 21st Committee of the Whole meeting. So we're working on that currently. The refuse fund, just to highlight there, it is on track for revenues and trending a little bit lower on expenditure side. And then we have some other notes listed here as well. And then on the cash and investment statement, when we pool all our cash across all funds, the unaudited cash position is $20.1 million across all funds. And then we have a series of notes at the bottom as well for you. And with that, that's just a snapshot of our first quarter financials, and happy to take any questions.
Then the final item under staff reports this evening is the purchase order disclosures over $2,500. That's also Ms. Gallagher.
We have 3 for review, and we put a lot of notes on there and nothing further to add.
Then are there matters not on the agenda this evening? Mr. Cannon, on the first word.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple of things. First of all, I'd like to congratulate our staff for putting on a great first Farmers and Food Trucks. Barry and Lori did a heck of a job, and I think a lot of the departments helped out also, but when I was down there, it was a good crowd. We had 2 farmers there this year instead of just 1.
I believe that's a 200% increase.
I agree. It was a great thing. So I just think that
increase.
I think it's just nice that someone acknowledges that they did such a great job. A couple other things I had. For a future meeting, this is an item I brought up in the past, and I would just like us to have some consideration for it. We had a relatively new restaurant move in on Plum Grove Road in the spring. We had a nice grand opening for them. They had an absolutely fabulous write-up in the Chicago Tribune this week. Problem is, they keep on saying they're in Palatine. I know this doesn't bug some people, but I think, if we want to have some pride in our town and let people know that we have things here, I think we need to come up with a solution to let those businesses out there understand where they're located, including Harris Bank, all the people that are in the same shopping center, MB Bank. There's a lot of companies out there, and I don't have the solution for this problem, but I think it's something that we need to address as a city because it's hurting us image-wise. CVS advertises all the time that they're in Palatine. They're in Rolling Meadows. So maybe it doesn't bug you guys, but out where I'm at, I think it's important because Rolling Meadows doesn't have a sterling reputation in some people's mind because we don't have anything, is what a lot of people say. Well, we do have some things. Here's a great new restaurant with a fabulous write-up, but no one would know it's in Rolling Meadows.
I believe that point is very well taken.
Okay. Last thing. On my way home today, I noticed that we were putting a new monument sign up on the corner of Euclid and New Hicks, okay? I had a conversation with the city manager a couple times, and he gave me some explanations on it. I still am a little bit shocked because we had a major discussion about this, I thought, 4 weeks ago, and I thought we had come to an agreement that we weren't going to do anything, and no one had the courtesy to call me to say, hey, we did this already, and it's done, it's coming. I just feel like it's a little bit of a slap in the face. I understand that there was things in process, but this was done last October. There was plenty of time for people to say stuff about it. And I think for us to go back and make the same exact monument that we had before that continues to get damaged and do the same exact thing all over again seems to be a little bit ridiculous to me. I thought we had come to an agreement that we were going to try to do something, especially with that one, because come fall, when we start plowing again, we're going to have snow and ice and all kinds of other crap hitting this thing, and it'll be damaged again. And we're spending $9,000 all over again. And I just don't understand how staff would approve the same exact thing that's fallen apart because of where it's positioned. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I guess I'm a little taken aback that this all happened, but I'll be able to live with it. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Cannon, I would say that I would follow you in your criticism as far as the communication since the discussion 4 weeks ago. I don't go any farther than that, but 4 weeks ago there was a discussion. We can all see it in the minutes. I thought we weren't going to proceed. I thought we were, and there was a request to have folks look at the minutes of the past meetings and tell us what, if any, direction was given. Because as we all know, a single alderman saying anything doesn't matter. It takes majority votes of the council. And regretfully, that instruction was not followed. And over the course of that sitting and waiting, as they say, timing is everything. When the replacement goes in, when we're waiting for information that didn't come out, I consider that to be a misstep that I couldn't blame Alderman Cannon for taking amiss if I were him. I don't follow the substance of the remarks, but I certainly, as far as that criticism is concerned, it is a point that is well taken, and we certainly understand that sometimes things fall through the cracks, and sometimes the laundry list of things that we ask for gets extensive, but something asked for by the council needs to be delivered in a timely fashion, and Mr. Cannon is correct that this was not. Are there further matters not on the agenda? Mr. Judd?
Mr. Mayor, just based on that comment, where do we stand with this? Are we going to talk about it at some point in time, or are we just...
Well, I believe, unfortunately, we stand where we stood. We're expecting that information to be presented, and then once the information comes forward as to whether the council took any formal decision, then we know what we can talk about. Yes?
Okay, so then we'll be able to figure out where we go from there.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir. Are there other matters not on the agenda? Then seeing none, it would be in order for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
That was very fast, and it was also seconded. Without objection, we are adjourned.
Do you know this guy who wrote this letter? Did you not get one of these?